Howdy folks, today's soap is going to be from Soap Commander. This one here is called Memories, and you can kind of see right through here, there's where the scent is at, scent profile. We got saffron, cedar, and red tea this morning. This is a pretty good size container if you're unfamiliar with Soap Commander. It's about 6 ounces if I remember correctly, and that's what it looks like there on the inside. Smells pretty darn good. I really like it. Off camera, I'll be using the matching aftershave balm from Soap Commander. Got it whipped up here with a horsehair brush from Vie Long. That's what it looks like. I've had this brush for a little while. Probably about, what, 4 years maybe? It's been around for a moment. I got it whipped up. This is just a plastic salsa bowl. You can pick one up at Walmart or your favorite location to shop. It really does. It smells wonderful. The lather it's wet, but it's not quite drippy. But it's pretty well hydrated. It really does smell good. As it goes for how do I whip up my lather, I just use a swirling motion inside the bowl. For me, that seems to work quite well. Using the shavette from Parker today. It's loaded with a Parker blade, of course. And this particular one, these scales are not plastic. This is actually wood, and it has something to help with the grip right up here at the top. You might be able, yeah, right there you might be able to see that blade. Not a whole lot of exposure, but it does not cover the toe or the heel of the blade. So we're going to give it a try this morning, see how it works out. I've got quite a bit of experience with Parker shavettes, and they seem to work quite well for me. Matter of fact, they also have a new one out. Grab the box right here real quick. This is what the outside looks like, and the inside looks like this. You may have seen Sharpologist's review of this particular razor. You can kind of see that there's already one insert inside the shavette, and then there's 2 others. So there's, I guess you might say, a low, medium, and high as it goes for the blade exposure. So it's what I would consider one that you can grow with. I'll do a video with this one here also later on, but I thought it was a pretty good setup to have one that varies in the blade exposure. Like I said, so that you can grow with it. Typically one with just a little bit of blade exposure works well for somebody just starting out, and as time goes on, if you want to venture out into the ones that have more blade exposure, see how it works out for you. For me, to be quite honest with you, that works just fine for me. I've used some with more blade exposure, but it seemed like to me they work great for me. I've already put a hot towel to the face this morning, and this morning I'm going to use, I don't have much. This is what's left of my Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements ice cube. There's just not much left of this cube, so the next one coming up is one from Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements, but this one I'm going to be using here pretty soon is going to be chocolate. I'm kind of wondering myself, I don't ever, for me at least per my nose, I don't pick up a lot of interference with the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements ice cube the scent of the ice cube interfering with the scent of whatever soap or cream that I have to be using. And but I do wonder how this chocolate one's going to work out in the way of, is it going to interfere with any of the scent? I kind of wonder about that, but we're going to find out probably, because what's left here is pretty hard to hang on to. Get a little bit more use out of it, but I thought everybody would probably be interested in seeing how how this cube was holding up. Been using it for quite a while. It still has you pick up just a little bit of the menthol in there, not a whole lot. All right, get this worked into the face. So it doesn't take very long if you haven't used a pre-shave soap. So if you're kind of wondering what I've been doing since I hadn't made a video in a while, I did a while back, Sharpologist had brought it up in one of his articles quite some time ago about a very old article from Gillette about rinsing out your brush. And Gillette back then had mentioned about not rinsing it out on a daily basis. And some thought that wasn't the best idea, was concerned about, I guess you might say, stuff growing in the brush. And for me, I was more concerned about, like this is a horsehair brush, and I was concerned about the fact that with a natural bristle brush, not only does it hold water in between the bristles, but it also absorbs the water. And I was kind of concerned about, that taking place for, let's say like a week at a time. And, but I did give it a run on a synthetic brush, different size knots also, 22, 24, and 26 millimeter knots, just to see how I guess you might say, the thought works out. And for me, what I found out is that if you're thinking about doing something like this, the synthetic knots worked out fantastic. I didn't try it with any of my natural bristles. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But with a synthetic knot, in other words, if you quote-unquote load everything up, you do it on a Sunday, getting prepared for quote-unquote a normal work week, I did notice that my shaves seemed to go a whole lot faster. It took no time to work up the lather because a lot of the lather was still in the brush. Things just went really quick. The shaves seemed like they went really quick. I did not notice anything in the way of an adverse reaction. In other words, like any kind of irritation with the skin. I used some DE shavers. Matter of fact, I used a couple of injectors, one of them being a PAA Injectomatic. Also used shavettes, a straight razor. I just never, in other words, I ran the gambit with, with the setup and never had any problems. So for me, if you wanted to give it a try, your skin most likely would be different than mine. But I never noticed anything in a negative way from leaving, I guess you might say, leaving the brush wet, loaded with soap for that length of time. The other thing that I noticed, of course, was the fact I also used Soap Commander had a couple of samples I used, and also tried it out with shaving cream, the tube shaving cream. I also noticed that I used less shaving cream using that method. Just something to think about. I know it sounds terrible, not rinsing out your brush for a whole week. Like I said, I did it with a synthetic, thinking that if I ruined a brush, if you will, typically your synthetic brushes are a little bit cheaper than a natural bristle. But I didn't think there would be much of a chance of that taking place with a synthetic knot. But I was concerned about a natural bristle, that would not work out so well. I was kind of concerned about it. Whether that truly would happen or not, I don't know. I don't think I have the nerve to try it with one of my natural bristle brushes. If I do, decide to go ahead and do such a thing, it'll probably be with a boar knot. In my opinion, boar bristles are, how you say, more durable, would take a beating, misuse, better than maybe some of your finer hairs like your horsehair and your badger. It's just my thought. I don't know. Haven't tried it. Like I said, I don't know if I can work up the nerve to do such a thing. And most of my boar knots, though, they're pretty good size. So in the beginning, yeah, it's going to take a little bit to load it up. But once that thing gets loaded up, I think it's going to be a lot like the synthetic, that it's going to work pretty well and hold a lot of lather for you. So it won't take long to lather up and get on with your shave. As it goes for the grips on the top, I know for me, I don't really notice it helping much, at least for me. Somebody else it might, but in other words, the ones with smooth tops and bottoms don't seem to bother me quite as much, but for some folks it might help with holding on to it, improving the grip, in other words. As goes for the blade is working out quite well. It's nice and smooth. Doesn't feel rough, aggressive. Probably should mention also the blade of choice of this past week in a DE shave room was a nascent Gillette, and I got 5 comfortable, easygoing shaves with it. I stopped at 5. It's not that I couldn't go further. It's just I decided at that point I didn't want to push it any further. But those blades work out really well. Here recently I noticed Italian barber, I can't remember if it was like $9.99 or $11.99 for a 100 pack. Reasonably priced, and if you can get 5 shaves, good shaves out of a blade like that, that's an awesome prize. I know a number of folks do sing the praises of that blade. If you're wondering where to find some of these Parker shavettes, a good place to find them is Super Safety Razors. They'll have both of these as well as many others, and they're very reasonably priced. To me, starting out with something like this, there are a number of other shavettes out there that are fantastic shavers. One of them in particular that comes to mind is Irving Barber, IBC. They have an assortment of shavettes that take different blades. In other words, if you wanted to use half of a DE blade, you can use that. You can use a feather Artist Club style blade. You can use an injector blade. It takes those blades, and so you can switch it up however it works, and those shavettes are pretty nice, but they're a bit more expensive than Parker. So if you're just starting out, not only you may start with Parker, you might just stay with Parker. I say they're inexpensive. You can give them a try, and if it doesn't work out, it's not a whole lot of money spent on it. Boy, that was a nice shave. Check it out with the alum block. This is Phoenix Artisan Accoutrement. Now this alum block is going to be hanging in for a while. It's still got quite a bit of use left on it, but the Ice Cube was the one that, as you might say, was finally whittling down to a little of nothing. Been using this alum block for quite a while too. Got just a little bit of stinging right there, which is not uncommon for me when it comes with the shavette shave. Somewhere on my face, there's usually a little spot that comes up stinging for just a bit. As goes from my good size bottle of witch hazel here, this one here is 16 ounces. I am down to here now. Matter of fact, it probably will come pretty close to lasting till Christmas. See how it works out. That is one thing I'd have to say, if you don't use alum block, but maybe witch hazel. The upside of using witch hazel after the alum block, at least for me, is it seems to do the whatever stinging or whatever is going on with my face now, just seems to really calm down. Face feels really nice. This is an unscented witch hazel, but it does have a bit of a scent to it. But that scent goes away pretty quick with my nose. As I say, off camera, I'll be using the aftershave balm. Pretty good stuff in my opinion. Works well for me. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you are staying healthy, stay safe, and smooth shaves to you.